Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to yet another great episode of Bahrain Now. I'm your host, Khalid Hijris, here to walk you through our exciting lineup of segments and personalities from around Bahrain. So stay tuned and we'll be back with more. Film is a medium that transcends various barriers: space, time, culture, and language. It is a labor of love that is inspiring as it is inspirational. And no one knows this better than director Aziz Tamimi. With a love letter to cinema featured on his own website, this Bahraini filmmaker has forged his own path through filmcraft, and is even the first Bahraini to have 2 films featured on Amazon Prime: The Stars Align and Becoming Queen of the North. Along with a litany of cinematic endeavors and successes, let's hear more about this journey from Aziz himself. Welcome, how are you doing?
Thank you, Khalid, for having me. It's an absolute pleasure to be back here on live TV. We're back on Bahrain TV. It's an absolute pleasure, and it's a pleasure to be in Bahrain Now. Big fan of the program and big fan of you personally. So it's great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Of course, thank you. And you know, everyone here is a huge fan. You have managed to forge a really impressive resume when it comes to filmcraft. And as someone who's had the privilege of recently watching one of your films, I can see why you've made huge splashes in the field. You're someone who's really reinvented. I would say you're one of the few people where I can say you've taken the wheel, reinvented it, and done so in a way that warrants reinvention. Now, with that in mind, one of the things that stuck out to me about you is that on your website, you have this brilliantly written open love letter to cinema. Now, I'm sure you get the question of how you got into film in the first place. Like, you've probably gotten that question a million times, but when did you decide you were gonna pursue it as a career?
Okay, so it was always in the family. Like, everyone knew except me. I wanted to personally be a professional wrestler as a kid, but I think the family knew he was always going to be something in films. Maybe my dad was like, oh, he might not be a music composer, and like my grandfather was like, he might not be a makeup artist, but they always knew I would do something related to the field. And I think it initially happened when I just went back and like graduated from school. I was like, what am I gonna do now? I like films, I want to be a film director, but to differentiate myself from the rest of the family, I was like, oh, why don't I do it in the UK, do English films? Because barely anyone has done English films in the family, and I was like, I want to do that. And I think it's the moment when I went to study my BA, and I was fortunate enough to have some of the best teachers in the world, like Dr. Ross Hunter, Len Collin, Chris J. Allen, that taught me the craft. And it was that moment that transformed like my mentality from a guy who does YouTube videos to like a film director. And I'm forever grateful for those teachers.
Brilliant, and you know, so are we, because this is what led you down this path. Now, you've mentioned you actually come from quite an artistic family. So could you tell us a little bit about what your father and your grandfather were involved in? I believe your father's a composer and your grandfather was involved in makeup artistry, correct?
Yeah. My grandfather, Aziz Mendy, is the first makeup artist in the Middle East. Absolutely trailblazer since the late 60s to the early 2000s. He's doing all the TV shows, films, commercials, everything with makeup artists all over the GCC and Middle East region. Then my father is a music composer. My uncle Fahad went as an assistant director, actor, makeup artist, and you name it, he's done everything. And like, just growing up with those people, you're like, unintentionally you're on film sets, unintentionally you're on interview sets, unintentionally you're somewhere related to the field. So just seeing them, you grab things from every single one of them. But one that does not really get enough credit is my mom. Although my mom is not like artistic, my mom has the critical thinking. She's very logistical. Therefore, I think getting the art from the family and getting the logic and like the critical thinking and combining them was very helpful for my career personally, because as a filmmaker, everyone say film is an art. Yeah, film is an art, but film is a business as well. Business first, art second, and there's no other way around it. Go to the big studios, they will not finance you once you tell them it's art, art, art. No, it's business first, art second. So if you have that from my dad's side, that's from my mom's side, I think that makes a decent producer.
Definitely. I mean, I would say much more than decent. It's like you said, it's great to see that you understand not only the art form but also the environment in which it flourishes, like from a business perspective. And it's really great to see that while you do have this very free-form, very artistic background, like you said, you also have a bit of that critical side that allows you to interact with the commercial aspects of the film world. So yeah, I mean, I can see how that has streamlined your career. Now, whether we're talking about professionally or you want to share a film that you maybe made just for fun, what was your first film?
My first film, like, I've done stuff in film schools, but they were never released publicly. So my very first film was in film school as well, but it's Becoming the Queen of the North. I've made that film, like, that was fully my brainchild as a writer and director. I've sent it to the film school really likes it. And then I've sent it to the festivals. It got wilder than my wildest dreams. This film is touring all around the UK. Suddenly Amazon Prime comes in. We want the film. You want my film? We're like, yeah. And I was like, it was my love letter to professional wrestling and the documentaries that made me see that wrestling is predetermined. And like, it's my love letter for that. And somehow, some way, one of the biggest platforms ever just wants this film. And I'm like, oh my God, yeah. And what I love about this film, it's been 3 years since we've been doing it, but during All In Weekend, which is the biggest show in Europe in Wembley Stadium, this year, every single billboard around Wembley Stadium either had AEW All In, the events commercial, or Becoming the Queen of the North.
Wow.
My film. And I'm still mind blown. It's been 3 years. People are still talking about this film. People still associate me with this film. And for a long time, I had a thing where, like, I was like, oh my God, it seems like no matter what I do, people would only come back to this. But it grew to understand where, like, people really felt for that story. People really love that story. Now people talk about more than that film when they associate me as a director with Becoming the Queen of the North, but it's just like insane. This is a film school project. It's on Amazon Prime. It was on billboards just this August. 3 years later. Wow, I'm mind blown.
And what was your initial reaction, you, your family, your friends, when you found out what originally started as a school project is now on one of the biggest streaming platforms in the world?
I'm still in disbelief. Like, it keeps on shocking me. People still talk about this, and like people talk to me when I mention, because I'm a huge wrestling fan. I do a lot of in wrestling, whether it's QPW wrestling in Qatar or WrestleFest DXB in Dubai right now, or in the UK. I do a lot over there as well. So I'm a huge wrestling fan, and wrestling fans come to me and talk about like great wrestling documentaries to me, and someone would come in and mention the Queen of the North, and they have no clue that I'm the director. I'm like, wow, people still talk about this thing. I love it. It's just like insane. It's my love letter to professional wrestling, and somehow, some way, people really like it. It's having to click with more than just me and my friends.
It's brilliant to see as well that you took two passions like professional wrestling and filmmaking, and that was kind of like your big break, so to speak. Like, it's like you said, that is the perfect love letter to your passions. And what do you think that this achievement, that, you know, still, it's like every time you say it, it feels so unreal, and I can tell that you're still in disbelief, because even the way that you talk about it, it's kind of like someone telling you about a wild dream they've had, right? Mm-hmm. How does it make you feel knowing that you're the first Bahraini to not only have one film, but two, because you also have The Stars Align on Amazon Prime?
So, like, never in my wildest dreams did I think about this. I remember when I first studied or went to study films, and I was like, oh, can you imagine if I get a film on a streaming platform? And then it's never been done before at that time. And I was like, it's wild, you know, but here's to the fools who dream. And I think it's just like, one, you're a one-hit wonder. Two, that's a validation. And that's the difference, I think.
Definitely, and I mean, again, it's a testament to your skill that you were featured not only. It's like you said, once is kind of like a miracle. Like you said, it's a one-hit wonder, but I think twice is not an accident.
Yeah, that's a validation.
Exactly. I really like that phrase, by the way. Like, twice is validation. And what do you think that this, now, whether you want to admit it or not, whether you want to be humble or a bit more, or you want to brag a bit more, people are going to see this as a huge win for not only for yourself, but for Bahrainis involved in the film industry. What message do you think those achievements convey to other Bahraini filmmakers?
It's easy. Fight for your dreams and your dreams will fight for you. It's like, like the stars or the sky is the limit, because like never in a million years did I personally imagine you'll be on Amazon Prime. Somehow, some way you get it once, then you get it twice, and hopefully the third time now. And like, that's never been done before, but it doesn't mean that I cannot do it. No, if you fight for it, if you fight for this dream, your dream will fight for you.
Brilliant advice and very succinctly said. Now, cinema and film, it's part of an industry that, I mean, I don't need to tell you this, it changes so much. You mentioned, for example, knowing the business side, and I suppose a huge part of that is also knowing what's popular at the time. I actually watched a very interesting interview once that talked about, like, for example, the identity of film is constantly changing. How do you as a filmmaker keep up with that? How do you keep up with an industry that is just constantly changing?
Always keep on doing something new. That's one thing. Always try new environments, new challenges. Can you do a film in 48 hours? Can you do a film in 8 hours? Personally, like, I've done a BA, then I was like, what next? Can I do an MA in Ealing Studios, oldest functional film studio in the world, do an MA in directing? Yeah, that's cool. Then what's next? Can I do a PhD? Okay, then what's next once you have a PhD? You could do a lot of things. Filming in a new place, a new environment, you learn something new. If you stay the same, you don't learn. Plus, looking at the trends, going to the cinema every week, you still need to be a fan of it to actually know it. But as well as looking into doing something new. Like when you go to my IMDb, when you look me up, look into my films, there are barely 2 films that are similar even in genre. Like, I personally don't like horror film that much. I think I've done more horror films than anything else. But I learned something new.
Actually, on that note, we recently had the director Mohammed Farid. We were talking about the film Convoluted, which I also had the pleasure of and the privilege of watching. Could you tell us a bit about your involvement with Convoluted?
First of all, Mohammed absolutely loves horror films, and when we talk about Mohammed Farid, we're talking about one of the brilliant minds in film and TV. Truly a visionary in filmmaking, and my involvement was one of the producers on Convoluted. I sat with him on his very first day after having this wild dream during COVID. And he told me about this, and I was like, we're gonna do this film. Yeah, you have to do it. And he was like, yeah, we'll CGI it out. I was like, yeah, we'll CGI it out. And that went very well. And just like seeing this film now, seeing the full picture, the 10 out of 10 of the director's vision, the full idea coming to place without like any shortcuts, and seeing it just open in Screamfest at the Chinese Theater, one of the biggest historic like venues in the world, a place where Quentin Tarantino opened his films in, and now it's Mohammed Farid, my little buddy. Wow, I'm just mind blown. Like, it's absolutely unreal. And regardless if I was one of the producers or not, like, it's another Bahraini that has done an amazing film and deserves all the credit in the world to do that. And not only that, just after Screamfest, like a week or 2 later, it opens Bahrain Film Festival. Wow! Such a visionary filmmaker. And I think if you've seen Convoluted, this is not even 1% in what's in his brain. Because he's a guy I decided to work with way before Convoluted. He's a guy, when I went to study films, I asked him, I was like, what do you think of the idea? He's one of the 3 people I asked outside of the family. And then when I've done The Queen of the North, I brought him in. On paper, the guy has never done a film before. I was still taking his opinion. That shows you how much of a great mind he is, and success it's been getting is absolutely unreal, well deserved. And I'm very proud of the film, very proud of my involvement as one of the producers. But most of all, I'm proud of Mohammed Farid. Mohammed is an excellent director, producer, and writer as well.
Very heartwarming words, and again, it's just really great to see your passion for film also extends beyond your own projects, and the fact that it's like you said, you had taken the opinion of someone who on paper had never done a film before, and I think that that's a testament as well for you as a filmmaker, that you can see the potential in people who have a passion for this field. So not only is that, obviously that is a huge testament to his own skill, but I think is also, you've clearly got an eye for talent. Now, going back to your own projects, we've off camera, and thank you very much for the privilege of sharing with me one of your films, Influencers Inc., and that was a brilliant movie. Could you tell us a little bit about that without giving too much away?
Okay, so initially it's a TV show concept that we've done. We've done kind of like an extract pilot. We don't really mention that much, purely because we wanted to see it as a short form. And once you're done, you'd figure out, oh wait, this is a TV show. It's not a short film, and it's mainly done for TV channels to get the pilots done and do the TV show. But if you see it as a short film, you see it as a short film. It's a very interesting concept. It's about a social media influencer, and you follow her life behind the scenes and in front of the cameras. You see her acting the social media persona versus the normal life persona. You get a lot of interesting characters, a lot of great actors that we've got, a lot of people who've done like icons in the British TV scene. John Bowler, who is a person I studied in film school, and just to work with him years down the line, it's like absolutely unreal. He's done The Bill and a lot of TV shows. Kitty Devlin is another one. She's done Bridgerton and a lot of other TV shows. Rachel Stockdale is someone who always keeps on coming back to my films. As well as Jasmine Mitchell, an absolutely amazing talent. She's Jasmine, she plays the role of lead character. You follow her, and if it isn't me knowing I'll have Jasmine on that film or TV show, I think I wouldn't have done it. That just shows you how talented someone like Jasmine is.
And without spoiling, I mean, she definitely does the character justice. And again, I think that she did an amazing job of taking that concept that you wrote and the characters that you wrote, which, by the way, are larger than life. Like, they feel so real, which again just shows how much you understand about communicating something. And as a hobby, I'm a bit of a failed novelist, but like with novels, you have prose and everything. You don't have to rely on very limited things to rely on storytelling. When it comes to writing something like a script for a movie, and again, I don't need to be telling you this, it is so much more difficult to create larger than life characters, and yet you did that perfectly. Now, I'd like to, I don't want to give away too much, but what drew you, where did the story come from?
So initially, I was Jasmine. I was Jasmine in a lot of ways, and I've written that years and years ago, and just then completely forgot about it. Then I've written that in Arabic, and I was like, oh, this is gonna be in Arabic, this is gonna be a thing. And then I showed it to a few people, and they were like, oh my God, why don't you do this in the UK? And I was like, no. It's very harder to do something outside because like this, because it needs to be in a proven medium. Like if you look at Game of Thrones, it was a best-selling book. If you look at like The Last of Us, it's a best-selling video game. It has to prove itself in somewhere before it's a TV show. So I was like, no, for the longest time. And then all of a sudden, like 5-10 people have been telling me this. You sit down, you're alone, you're in the UK, far from home. Not Spider-Man, but I'm far from home. And I thought about this, and I was like, you know what? Let me do it right now. And we invested our own personal money to prove this as something that will draw. And I'm still open to do it, whether it's in Arabic, English, or Chinese. Happy to take the highest bidder to do it for a TV show.
Brilliantly said. And like I said, again, it was just an incredible film that I think has really left me wanting to watch more of your content, quite frankly. Do you have any other upcoming projects, anything that you're willing to share with us?
So Influencer Inc., that's my biggest baby, and as I said, like we're in a process of talking to TV channels, and I'm on a TV channel, so hey, we're on national TV here. We're like really open for all people to kind of see that thing and get it as a TV show. We're open, as I said, for the highest bidder, and people will see the short in 2025 coming at festivals, and hopefully I wanted, like, if the TV channel that we sign with finally agrees on it, I hope that they agree that we could release that fully into the public so people could see that as a short, or just like a teaser of what you'd get when you get 10 episodes or 15 episodes of Jasmine just wandering around and doing what she does best.
Definitely. I mean, I'm really looking forward to it because, like I said, and again, without spoiling anything, it was such a brilliant film. And again, I thank you for giving me the privilege to watch that because, again, everything from the characterization, the storytelling, how everything wraps together, and the medium itself is just very... It catches your eye, and again, you can tell that I'm trying to word it in a way that I don't want to give too much away, but I will say that everything about it is so calculated, but that's not how it comes off. It comes off as so natural. So again, I can't wait to see what's next in Jasmine's story, as well as yours. I can't wait to see more of what you produce, or direct, or write. And just to wrap everything up, I mean, look, cinema is very mystifying, and a lot of people, I think, have that dream at some point. I mean, I definitely did. And I think when people think of cinema or film, they always think it's so, like, it's beyond their reach. But I think people like yourself have proven that it is a matter of passion. It is a matter of, you know, knowing that, you know, you might fail at certain points, but, you know, about bouncing back. What advice would you give to aspiring filmmakers?
I mentioned this earlier, like, fight for your dreams and your dreams will fight for you, but as well as that, like, it's a tough business. Like, it's a really tough business. Films, you've got to really never give up. Like, between one project to another, it might be a year, 2, 3. I was speaking to a director like 2 days ago, great director. He was telling me it's been 14 years since I've done the last film. And I was like, wow, 14 years. And it's okay to wait that time, but you've got to never give up, because it's easy to say, like, okay, nothing is coming up, I'll just leave.
Oh, brilliantly said. And, you know, I think one thing that I really appreciate about your approach to everything seems to be it's like a call to action, just kind of do it, go out there, let the passion speak for itself.
Yeah, what's the worst that could happen? People won't like your film and then tell you it's bad, and like, okay, it's fine, fair enough, valid opinion. I've got a bunch of those, like, fair enough, I went out and made a film. Okay, if that's true and that doesn't work, well, I might fix it the next time. You never know, or I might never take your opinion and just do my films.
Either way, you've got a film.
Yeah.
Brilliantly said. Thank you so much for joining us today, Aziz. And really, when I say this from the bottom of my heart, I cannot wait to see what you come up with next. And hopefully we can see more of your work either here or in any of the festivals that you're involved in.
Thank you, Khalid. It's an absolute pleasure to be back on national TV. It's an absolute pleasure to be on Bahrain Now, finally, to follow in the footsteps of great directors like Mohammed Farid, who's been here in this very same seat. So it's an absolute pleasure to be back, and it's an absolute pleasure to be on this program finally. Thank you for having me, and can't wait to have Influencer Inc. live.
Inshallah. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, we have Aziz Tamimi, yet another great Bahraini filmmaker on an already growing and impressive list. Stay tuned for more on Bahrain Now. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of this episode. We'd like to thank you all for joining us. As always, be sure to reach out to us on our social media accounts shown below. We'd love to hear from you. This was Khalid Hidris. Until next time, good night and God bless.